Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. My company by the same name is one of the show's sponsors, and we help business owners to promote their companies, their products and services in the marketplace. And we do this through websites, social media marketing, lead generation campaigns, video production, PR. All the details are on my website, www.tcconnector.com, or call 772-925-4557. Treasure Coast Connector, the show, puts a spotlight on local business owners because everyone has an interesting story of why they do what they do. And when we learn about them and do business locally, it strengthens our local economy. So the holiday season is fast approaching, and it's also a time of year where people are making year-end plans when it comes to their finances. They're setting goals for the following year. Joining me in the studio today is Michael Conway, and he is a fiduciary advisor and founder of Conway Financial Management and financial planning, and he has a lot of great information to share. So welcome back to the show, Michael.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for having me. This is great.
Yeah, you were on this show at the very start of the pandemic.
That's
and
a while ago.
And I know,
Seems like forever.
I know, and so much has changed. And you had a very busy morning today. So you were doing a golf tournament fundraiser. So you're fresh off the golf course.
I am fresh. I'm not saying I would be fresh off the golf. I'm exhausted off the golf
you're
course.
You're exhausted, but the polo shirt, you still look good.
Oh, thank you.
The golfers, you guys always look very sharp.
Yeah,
so.
But, it was a sweaty afternoon. I have to tell you that. But But it's for a good cause, the Knights of Columbus at Holy Cross Church. But we also do another fundraiser. It'll be February 20th, I believe, 2023, Knights of Columbus, and it'll be out at Point West Country Club.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So anybody that's listening, they can, go to the church's website.
Last year we had to turn away 17 foursomes.
Wow.
It's a very, very popular foursome. It's a great plan. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even Cindy at the control panel is like, wow, So, but I wanted to ask, I have a few questions before we get into the meat of what we want to talk about. But the first thing is why did you want to become a financial advisor? Well, you're more than that, and we'll get into that in a moment. You're a fiduciary advisor, but what made you want to enter this industry?
That's a good question because, at the time I was flying fighter jets out of the Air Force.
Wow.
And
thank you for your service.
Well, the alternative was to go fly a bus for the airlines, and that didn't sit well. And at the time I was the squadron expert, if you will, for investing.
Okay.
So I was helping people in the squadron, and I said, well, this is a good idea. Just let's go and try to help people all around. And so I started out as a broker, stockbroker, if you will, back then. But now I'm a fiduciary, and the difference is quite astounding.
Yeah, please, because a lot of people have no idea what that means, and it is significant.
It is. It seems subtle difference, but it isn't so. I mean, as a fiduciary, I'm a fee-only advisor. I don't get a commission. So that changes everything is when it comes to, say, if you're looking for a mutual fund, and if I didn't get a commission, which one would I choose for you? Well, hopefully it would be the one in your best interest, because so if it was a Vanguard no-load fund, that's exactly what you would get, because it wouldn't matter if I picked a loaded one or a no-load fund. If it was in your best interest, that's what you should have. So that's pretty much the difference in a nutshell. We're more educators than we are salespeople.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the second half because of the events that you do. But, since the beginning of the pandemic, like almost 3 years ago, there was a growing trend of people starting their own businesses, and it exploded even more so, during the pandemic. And a lot of these businesses are business owners of one, and there's nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of them that are well into the seven figures with sales, right?
That's correct, yes.
But then there's a lot of business owners that started their businesses and are creating jobs for others. But with that comes the planning of, your retirement for the business owners, for the employers. So how do you help business owners figure this out? Because the small business owners sometimes think this is too arduous of a process to set up a retirement plan, but that's not the case.
It's not the case with us, that's for sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of unknowns, 401k plans specifically, but 457, 403b, tax shelter plans if you're in the government scenario, they're all pretty much the same thing. So we just say them all 401ks. But the reality is they're very complicated if you have to do it on your own. So why not hire a company to set it all up for you? Mm-hmm. We set up what's called a MEP, called a multiple employer plan, which most of our ERISA attorneys are saying in the next 5 years, all 401k plans, I'm sorry, not all, half of all 401k plans will switch over to MEPs.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because they're going to be a lot less money and they shed all their fiduciary responsibility. You know, Ellen, we just hired, 87,000 new IRS agents? Mm-hmm. Who do you think they're looking for? So if you don't have all your ducks in line, and there's a lot, that's a major target on your back, if you will.
Okay.
So we take that away, and we do it for less money.
So that's the other thing we mentioned before we actually started the show. So you and me and Cindy were chatting about that there's a lot of fees involved. But with the programs that you have, a lot of them are a lot cheaper than other retirement plans.
Yeah, I would say they're a lot less expensive, but certainly what you get is a lot more, and mainly the fiduciary responsibility burden. So they call it fiduciary governance, and that is a big deal. But our fees, if you will, generally run around 18 basis points, which is about 1/5 of 1%.
Wow.
Versus the average, if you will, company out there is paying 1.5% to 2%. So if it's just a numbers game, we win.
Okay.
But if it was the same, quite frankly, you'd be better off to move over. I hate to be sounding like a salesman, but the reality is, if you don't ask the question, you don't know, and nobody's going to be out there telling you.
Okay, so now if someone actually has, an employer has a plan already in place, do you do a comparison?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because if nothing else, just let's put the plans together and do a proposal. It's really simple to do. It's free, and we'll just do a comparison.
Right, and it'll either validate that what they have works for them, or that you can offer them either the same type of a plan or a much more comprehensive plan, but the fees are a lot less.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes. And part of the responsibilities of the plan sponsor, which is the owner of the company, is to make sure that all the investment vehicles are in compliance.
The owner of the company has to do this?
The owner of the company is, in fact, the fiduciary of that plan.
Okay.
And whoever signs what's called a 5500 form also is personally responsible that everything was done correctly. Wow. If something's amiss, they're personally responsible. And I'm telling you, the fines are horrendous. It used to be that they would only go after the big companies. A lot of the universities, I know, have Coca-Cola. A lot of them have already been through the lawsuits. They've been in the millions of dollars. But we had a personal scenario where a client has just come to us, but they were a small company, maybe 20-man group. I think they had about $3 or $4 million in assets under their entire plan. Relatively small. They filled out their 5500 form, but they were late in submitting it. Cost them $150,000 on that small company. That's enough to put them out of business.
I was just going to say, wow, that's amazing. So then you basically take all of that away from them, and you do it all for them, and you know how to do this because this is your entire career.
The only responsibility for the employer is to make sure that they give us the correct census, and they make sure they pay the employees on time, so their bookkeeping has to be up to speed.
Okay, very good.
Pretty much. Oh, they have to have a fiduciary bond, which we tell them how to do it.
Yes. So if we had a studio audience, I'm hoping eventually we'll get one. I've been asking Cindy Cindy's clapping her hands. But if we had a studio audience, they would be interrupting me asking for your phone number. So for the people that are watching this, they're seeing the graphic with your contact information. But we are on not only iHeartRadio, but 8 other podcasts and Alexa. So your show is going to be everywhere. For those that are listening, how do they get in touch with you?
It's really quite simple. I'm a 772 area code number, 480-4110.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. And we're going to take a break in just a moment, but I have one more question to tie up this first half, and that is for a business owner that's just starting out, that's trying to figure out their retirement plan, or for someone that has a plan and now they want to do a comparison.
Yes.
What is the process like to work with you? How do you start working with people?
They just have to give me a call,
Okay.
and we can set it up. In fact, I have a call this afternoon. The person called me Friday.
Okay.
And I said, well, I've got a golf tournament, but after the tournament, I'll be happy to speak with you. And she would like it done before November 15th.
Oh.
And we can do that.
It can be done that quickly?
If it's a small enough company.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you go. So we'll be talking this evening, and I'll get that ball rolling.
So it's an initial conversation, and then, of course, you're going to be asking them for certain documentation and things like that. But one
of the things that we bring to the table, we're not the only fiduciary. We bring 3 fiduciaries to the table. So we have the plan administrator fiduciary, we have myself fiduciary, and we also have the 338 rules. So, and I don't want to get into all those rules, but they're we cover everything. So
very nice.
Yeah. And having these 3 different entities, unlike other companies who do something kind of similar, say like the big Fidelities or Principals, they police themselves.
Okay.
So that's not us. So we have a company called Fiduciary Benefits. They do the administration side, the TPA, if you will. We have Bell Rock Capital. They pick all the investment plans. So they're 2 different companies. And so we check each other out.
I was going to say checks and balances are in place.
Yeah. So nothing's going to get through to us as far as which would cause a problem with the IRS and the 87,000 that are coming after us.
Yeah, let's let the IRS just deal with other people, and the smart ones will work with you, and then they don't have to worry about that. And this is perfect time for a commercial break. So stay tuned, because Michael Conway has a lot more to discuss, and we'll be right back.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal, Four Seasons, and Capri. We also have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington with styles designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. We're having a fall sale with lots of great markdowns, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street, and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Have a sunshine day.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world, with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
I love that I can sit in my car and wait for my appointment to renew my driver's license. No more lines, no hassle. Hey, I made my appointment online, and it's going to alert me when it's my turn. Gotta go.
Hello, I'm Carol Jean Jordan, your tax collector here in Indian River County. To help you get in and out faster, we are introducing our new customer service system. Here, you can make appointments, check in remotely, or choose to wait in your car or in our lobbies. You can access this system through our website, irctax.com, and we look forward to seeing you.
Welcome Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been chatting with Michael Conway. He's a fiduciary advisor and founder of Conway Financial Planning. We had a great conversation about business owners. So the second half, we're going to talk about the everyday people. And once a year, they're faced, depending on the age that they're at with their assets and their retirement accounts, RMD, required minimum distribution. Okay.
Correct.
And for some people, if they haven't saved a lot, their RMD is not a lot of money, and they might look at it as fun money or spending it on certain things, and that's fine. And for others, their RMD number is significant, and that comes with a lot of additional planning for taxes and other things. So how do you help people navigate this whole RMD and what to do with that?
You know, people get so wrapped up in acronyms, IRA, RMDs.
So what isn't, for those that are not quite sure, required minimum distribution, they might not even be aware. Maybe they're approaching that age, but
Right.
they're not really sure. So what is it and what do you do?
Well, they're not really sure what the age is because that just changed 2 years ago.
Oh,
A
okay.
thing called the Secure Act.
Oh.
And the Secure Act just came out and said, well, we're no longer going to have 70 and a half as your required minimum distribution age. It's now 72.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Which is great. And everybody said, wow, that's such a smart idea because 70 and a half was always very confusing.
Yeah.
Is it this half of the year or what's the half of the year am I born in, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a nightmare. But
Yeah, I remember that from my husband, but he's north of 72, so he just has to deal with that. So
Well,
it's okay.
if you're 72, you got to pay. You're not pay. What it is it's required minimum distribution. It means any money you have in a qualified account, which is your IRA or your 401k or any of your retirement plans, you have to do a withdrawal. The simple answer to that is subtract your age from 100 and divide that into how much money you have.
Okay.
That's not accurate, but it's close. So you have a good idea. But anyway, it's a taxable event, and that's the problem. So if we could avoid the taxes, wouldn't you want to do that? So that's where the planning comes in. And let me back up a second and say the Secure Act, although we changed the age from 70 and a half to 72, what they did, and it really messed up any kind of retirement planning that maybe people had done in the past for doing what's called a stretch IRA. Now, your money that you have to take out with your required minimum distribution is you have to take it out within 10 years when you start.
Okay.
Or when you get it.
Okay.
So I'm not quite exactly if it was bequeathed. So your own RMD is not a 10-year episode.
Okay.
But if you bequeath it to anybody, those people have to spend it in 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So the issue there is I was planning on giving this to my granddaughter, and she was going to have a tax deferred account for the next 60 years. That was a great plan. No longer.
Now
that
what?
money has to be spent in 10 years.
Oh, gosh.
And when I say it's a taxable event, what you were mentioning is some people have significant amount of money in their IRAs, and now they have to take maybe 10, 20. A gentleman I just spoke to, $75,000 a year he has to take out. Well, what does that do? Well, it raises his Social Security taxes immensely, and in fact could even raise your Medicare to be a means tested Medicare. So instead of $170 a month, you might be paying up close to $280, $300 some dollars for your Medicare.
Wow.
Because you raised the bar because of the required minimum distribution.
Okay.
A way around that would be maybe transferring that to a Roth IRA. Roth IRAs have no RMDs, and they're tax-free. So if you could switch it to the Roth, you may save yourself a lot of money in taxes.
Okay.
Ellen, where do you think taxes are going to go in the next 5-10 years?
I think they might be going up.
With $31 trillion in deficits, I mean, you have to think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you look at today, we're like in the 39 is the highest bracket, right? But most of us are in the 20s, somewhere in that category. In the 70s, we had 73% tax brackets. So really, taxes are on sale right now. So it might be an idea to move your traditional IRA to the Roth, pay those taxes, and avoid all taxes after there.
Interesting.
So those are some planning ideas, and maybe you can stay under a tax band, if you will. So maybe I'm in a 24% tax bracket, and I can stay there up until another $50,000 of income. So maybe I do 49,000 of transfer from my IRA to my Roth, and I don't go past the 24 tax bracket. And I can do that maybe over the next 3 or 4 years and do it every year for the next 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
That would save me a lot of money it would save me a lot of money in taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. So now what about the granddaughter scenario? What do you do for her in that situation?
Well, that's an excellent question. Life insurance actually works out really, really well. So now I can spend maybe my some of my RMDs and buy a nice policy that would give her guaranteed money that would be tax-free. So that would be the best way to go. And then she doesn't have to spend that.
Yes. So this is why we need your help.
Yes.
Because the average person, for us to try to do research and figure this out, I already feel my hair wanting to start to come out due to stress, because that's just, it's too much.
It's a lot, and it's always changing. So what you think might be the right answer 10 years ago, and that's what you were banking on your future on, maybe it has changed.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So all the more reason to talk to somebody who pays attention to the changes.
I'm looking at the time. We have a couple of minutes, so I don't want to forget about this, because in the first half of the show, we were talking about fiduciary advisors being educators. And that's a wonderful thing. And it's a sense of comfort for people knowing that they're not going to be taken for a ride based on the advisors wanting to make the most commission for themselves. There's nothing wrong with making money, but you really should do what's right by your client. So you do a lot of educational events. So talk a little bit about that.
I do. And that does really show the big difference between commission brokers, traditional brokerage, because they work for commissions. As a fiduciary, I don't work for a commission. So really my job is an educator completely. And I do put on what we call workshops. And just this past week, we had a workshop, and I had roughly 60 people at the workshop.
Wow.
And we discussed all about requirement distributions and how to save taxes on that. And so that was very well received. And it was a total educational process.
Very nice. And how often do you do these types of events?
Well, since COVID, they've been kind of few and far between.
Okay. But now everybody is out and about.
And so I'm trying to get probably one every quarter.
Okay.
So I'd like to try to make that happen. And I like to change the topics from time to time. So, because we don't have a really big audience around here. We have an audience, but it's not huge.
But with all the New Yorkers coming in, we're growing. It's getting bigger. I'm a former New Yorker. I've been here for so long now. I'm a Floridian.
I couldn't do that accent. That's great.
Born and raised on Long Island.
Wow.
So yeah, we have so many people moving in from California, New York, Texas, and they need you. And Cindy only is giving us 2 minutes. That's it.
Wow.
That's all. Not fair.
2-minute warning.
Yeah. So with 1 minute. First, I would like for you to give your phone number again for everyone and your website address.
Okay. It's, Mike.Conway at royalfundmanagement.com is my email. It's easy to reach me there. Website for me is conwayfinancialplanning.com. And my phone number is 772-480-4110. But I have another landing page I think I'd like to promote.
Sure, please.
And it's really good for anybody that has a retirement plan or a company that would like to set one up or change theirs. And that would be obviously www.401khelpsite.com. So 401khelpsite.com. That's pretty simple.
Well, that's very good. Yeah. So I just wanted to say, thank you so very much for coming on to this show. This is the time of year, like I said, people want to enjoy the holidays, but then they're also sharpening the pencils and they're making their plans for their business, for their financial, personal life. So really what you want is for people to just pick up the phone. It's a confidential conversation and just kind of share with you where they're at and where they're trying to get to. Is that it?
Well, it is it. And one more note is that you have to have your RMD taken out before December 31st. Don't forget, there's a big penalty. Anything you don't take out is a 50% penalty.
Ooh. Oof, not good. But with that, I'm going to say thank you so very much for being on this show. My name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. I hope that everyone has a safe, fun, productive week. And until next week, I miss you already.